Welcome to this quick start video for BagpipeWriter. This video, which is around 15 minutes long, will give you all the essential information you need to start using BagpipeWriter. This is the first screen that you see when you log into BagpipeWriter, which is the My Scores page. In here, you will see that there are two folders. The Shared With Me folder, which is where scores go that other users who are BagpipeWriter subscribers may share with you. Also, you can see there's a Demo Scores folder, which is exactly that. It contains a series of demo scores that we have created for you to see the capabilities of BagpipeWriter. In this video, we want to concentrate on two things: how we go about importing scores from other software, and also how we create a score from scratch. The first thing we'll do is import a score. To do that, we will go to the menu in the top right, and we will select Import Score. BagpipeWriter has the ability to import three different types of scores: .bww files, which are Bagpipe player files; .bmw, which are files from Bagpipe Music Writer Gold; and finally .abc, which is ABC notation files. We click on the Browse button, and this will open up our file system on our local computer. Here, we are going to import a 2.4 march called Teribus. We click on the file, we click on Open, and then we click Upload. Here you will see that quickly BagpipeWriter has imported the file and given us a link to take us to it. When we click on it, BagpipeWriter in the background will perform some simple tidy ups on the import, and ultimately will show us the score that's been imported. We could now go ahead and edit the score just like any other score inside BagpipeWriter. For just now, we won't do that, as we're going to create a new score from scratch. One thing to notice is at the bottom of the screen, you'll see that BagpipeWriter is telling us that it's loading samples. Here you see that they loaded quite quickly, as this computer has been used before to download BagpipeWriter samples. When you first go into BagpipeWriter, it may take a few minutes for all the samples to come down. These will then be cached on your computer, meaning that the next time you access BagpipeWriter, they will come down much quicker. Please note, however, that if you change different browsers, i.e. from Chrome to Firefox, the files will need to be re-downloaded, as each browser has its own cache. We're now going to go ahead and create a score from scratch. So we will click on the menu and we'll click on Exit. Here we see that our imported score is now listed in the My Scores page, and it has a thumbnail of that score. In order to create a new score, we go back up to the menu and we select New Score. This will take us back into the editor, and it will show us a page allowing us to set up our score as we wish. Do not worry about getting this exactly right at this point in time, as you can change every aspect of this as you go through the system. We are going to select 2.4 for our score. We will accept the default of portrait orientation, and the default number of lines or staves as 4, and the default bars per line as 4. Then we'll click OK. Here you will see that BagpipeWriter has set up a manuscript ready for us, with the time signature, some default text elements, the correct number of bars, and the correct number of lines. We are going to zoom in so that we can make better use of the screen space that we have available. So we will zoom in to 125%. Adding notes to a stave in BagpipeWriter is really a case of simply point and click, or point and touch. So we go up to the toolbar and we select the note type that we want. We then click on the stave where we want the pitch of the note to be. So we click here. If we get the pitch wrong, that's not a problem. We can drag the note up and down the stave and we can select the correct pitch. We can also use the pitch up and pitch down toolbar items to increase or decrease the pitch of the note that we have. Similarly, we can change note value by using the increase note value or decrease note value. So if this note here should be an eighth note rather than a quarter, we can decrease it. Or similarly, we can go from a quarter note to a half note. We'll take it back to a quarter note. You will notice here that BagpipeWriter has put some hatching behind the bar behind this note. This is because, obviously, a quarter note in 2/4 time is insufficient note values to make up the 2/4 time. So the yellow hatching indicates that we are under the required values. To correct this, we'll put in the remaining notes. Please bear in mind that we're not building a real pipe tune here. we're only using these notes to demonstrate the capabilities of BagpipeWriter. So we will add in 2/8 notes. In doing so, you will see that the hatching has now disappeared, as the quarter note plus the 2/8 notes adds up to the 2 quarter notes required by our time signature. Next, we want to look at how we go about beaming notes. In order to do that, we first need to understand how to select notes. We click on the first note to select it. We then have a number of choices about how we select the second note. We can click and drag round the 2 notes to select them, or we can click on the first note and use the Select Next Note toolbar item, or we can use the keyboard and we can hold down Shift and the right arrow key to select both notes. When it comes to shortcut keys, BagpipeWriter has over 60 of these. To see a list of what the BagpipeWriter shortcut keys are, we go into the Help and we come down to Shortcut Keys. Here we get a list of all the shortcut keys that BagpipeWriter supports. There's also a PDF link here, so we can download a quick reference guide and we can keep that in a printed format or otherwise on your computer so that you can refer to it as and when you require. Key to success with BagpipeWriter on devices that have keyboards is being able to remember and recall the shortcut keys that BagpipeWriter has. This will make you very productive. However, there is nothing that requires just a shortcut key. Everything can be done from the toolbar should you wish. So back to taking these 2 notes here and creating a beam. We can beam them manually using the group tool, or alternatively we can use the auto beam. Let's beam it manually for now. We just simply click on group and BagpipeWriter will automatically put a beam between the 2 notes. The next thing we want to look at is how do we space the notes on the stave proportionally to the note value. We only need one, in fact we don't need any notes selected, but we can have one note selected in the bar if we wish, and we go up to the Auto Arrange tool. If we click that, you will see then that BagpipeWriter will automatically space our notes as required across the stave. Let's look at Auto Beam. Auto Beam has the capability of beaming notes of any amount of complexity. We'll keep it simple for just now by creating 4 eighth notes. Again, we have one note in the bar selected, and we click on Auto Beam. Here we see that BagpipeWriter has automatically beamed these sets of notes. If we change the pitch, BagpipeWriter will change the slant of the beams as required. You'll see here the spacing isn't great though, so again we go up to Auto Arrange and we use the Auto Arrange tool to space the notes proportionally. The next thing to look at is how we can then change the timing of these individual notes. An example being putting a dot cut or a cut dot on these 2 notes. So again we select the 2 notes using our selection method of choice. So we will use the drag round the notes method. In the productivity toolbar, you'll see that you have the add dot cut, which also has a shortcut key. By clicking on that, BagpipeWriter will automatically add a dot and it will cut the next note. Let's say that we didn't want to do that. We can then undo. So we can use the undo toolbar item, which will take us back to where we were before. Then we might decide that we did want it, so we can redo, and it brings it back again. The next thing to look at is text. You will see that BagpipeWriter has automatically created some default text. We can edit this text, so we either double click or double tap on the text to change it, and we change the text to what we wish it to be. We have the ability to change the font size, and the positioning of the text, although we can drag the text anywhere we wish on the score. So let's change this to 36 point, and we'll tell BagpipeWriter to center it. Over here we will change it to mark it as a march, and over here we will put in the composer as Time 6 Studios, and we'll make sure this is aligned to the right. Let's say we wanted some other text on the score. We simply click on the text toolbar, click down where we want it on the score, we can drag it anywhere we want, and then we can change this text to say whatever we wish. And we may decide that we want that text centered. And there we are. So just to recap where we've got to, we can add notes, We can position text, we can change text, we can beam notes, we can arrange notes, and we can perform functions on notes such as adding dot cut. Let's look at the structure of a score now. Let's say that we want to change the bar lines. This bar line here we want to become an end repeat. We simply click on the bar line and then we click on end repeat, and we'll see that the bar line changes. Let's say that we want another bar line at the start here, the begin repeat. So we insert a bar line by clicking on begin repeat and then clicking where we want it to go. You'll see here in doing so that we crushed this note up against here. We quickly fix that using auto arrange. We can also add in additional beams. We can move beams around. And as we move beams around and we use the auto arrange tool, you'll see that BagpipeWriter will automatically adjust the spacing of the notes to take up the space that's available in the beam. There are more advanced features around this, such as optimizing bar positions. I'm talking about beams, should be bars. Optimizing bar positions by doing that, by using that tool. This will be covered in a different video. Let's now look at ties. We can tie notes simply by inserting the notes that we require, selecting the notes. So again, we're going to use the drag method around the notes, and then we select the tie tool. You'll see here, because we've selected two notes, the BagpipeWriter recognizes that it's likely that we're just wanting to add a tie to these two notes. So we simply click add and the tie gets added. You can move these notes around as you wish, and BagpipeWriter will automatically redraw the tie as necessary. Let's say we wanted to create a triplet or any other irregular grouping of notes. So in this last bar here, let's add in 3/8 notes. 1, 2, 3, and then we'll add in a quarter note to make up the bar. Here you see it's shaded it red to show us that we have too many notes for the time signature. Let's just change that back to that mistake on there. Then we select the 3 notes, again by dragging around them. Then we click on the add tie, and you'll see that BagpipeWriter has automatically selected 3 because it sees that there are 3 notes. You can change this to other values if you require. We click on add, and BagpipeWriter will add in the tie with the 3 symbol underneath it. Let's auto beam this. Simply select the auto beam tool, and then finally let's auto arrange it as well so it's spaced as we require. So far we've just put in simple notes. Let's look at embellishments. To add an embellishment to a note, you simply click the note that you require and then use the embellishment toolbar items. You have the option to add in the grace notes and strikes, doublings, more advanced embellishments, and pbroch. Let's say we want to add the G grace note to this. We simply go and choose the G grace note. You will notice that this palette here is quite large. This is larger than the default size. If we go into the menu and then go into options, you'll see that you get 2 different sets of options, score options and BagpipeWriter options. BagpipeWriter options work across all scores. If we scroll down to the bottom, you will see that we have changed the embellishment palette zoom from normal to 2 times. This makes it easier to see and to select embellishments from the palette. Let's take this note here and let's add in a doubling. What BagpipeWriter will do when we automatically space it is it will take account of any embellishments and we add them to notes. So let's say that this note here was very close. You'll see that the embellishment has gone past the bar line. By clicking auto arrange, BagpipeWriter will correct that for us. We can remove embellishments from notes by clicking on the note and then using the remove embellishment oblique grace note tool. And this will simply remove it. We can delete notes entirely by clicking on them and using the delete toolbar or using the delete key on our keyboard. Let's put that note back in again. We had a brief look there at the options. Let's have a slightly more detailed look. However, we will cover this in much more detail in other videos. In the score options, The key things to look at here is the ability to change the main time signature, to switch between portrait and landscape orientation. In doing so, we can also choose the lines per page. So let's say we have a score that has 12 lines. We want to split it across 2 pages. We can choose the lines per page option to control that. We have the option to show bar numbers, and we can also change the playback BPM in here and add in some footer text. There's lots of other options in here that we'll cover in other videos. The only other one I'd like to draw to your attention to is the playback sample set. Here you can choose between synthetic bagpipes, practice chanter, and real bagpipes. In the main BagpipeWriter options, we can also choose the default playback sample set. So if you want everything that you create to be played, for example, on real bagpipes, then you select real bagpipes in here and then leave the score options as they are, which will be set to use this default. Now all we need to do is to save our score. So we go in and we click Save, and we give the score a name. BagpipeWriter will then save the score in the background. Once we've saved our score, we can now create a PDF. BagpipeWriter will take a few seconds to generate the PDF on the server, and then it will offer us the file to view or download. Here we're going to open it in Adobe Acrobat Reader, and here you see we have our score. Now that we've saved our score, we can exit from the editor, and it will take us back to the score list page. You will notice that we don't have a thumbnail for the score because BagpipeWriter creates that in the background. If we refresh our browser, we will see that the thumbnail has now been presented. Each score has what's known as the More menu. This allows us to perform certain actions on the score. Here we can edit the score, the same as the button there. We can view the score without the toolbar in place. We can rename the score. We can create the PDF as we just saw. We can export it to Bagpipe Player. We can share it with support. If there's an issue with one of your scores, we may ask you to use this facility so we can get access to your score and try and understand any issues you may be having. If you have folders, you can use this to move it to a folder or move it back out of a folder. You can copy a score, and finally you can delete a score. That concludes this quick video showing you the key features of BagpipeWriter. Further videos will go into much more detail. Thank you for listening.